Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I want to tell the story about Siti Sirah.
Sarah's real name is Sarah binti Harun bin Nahum bin Sharuk bin Agru bin Falik. Next, her partner is Ibrahim as husband, while the son they have been waiting for so long is Ishaq, and his brothers are Lut as nephew and Ismail as stepson. Siti Sirah, the first wife of Prophet Ibrahim salam. Sarah had a noble character and a beautiful and charming appearance that was unusual in that era. According to commentators, Prophet Yusuf's good looks come from Siti Sarah's lineage. Sarah is a noble woman who became the mother of Prophet Isaac. Sarah is also an intelligent and clever person. Because Ibrahim loved Sarah, first, because of her religion. Second, because she is still her relative. Third, because Sarah is a very beautiful woman after Hawa. The story of Siti Sirah getting Ishaq. Sarah is a barren woman. She is an old woman. Siti Sirah and Nabi Ibrahim have been waiting for their child for a long time. Prophet Ibrahim always begged for them to have their own child. After that, the verses of Surah Hud, verse 69 to verse 73 were revealed. From Surah Hud is, "And verily our messenger angels have come to Prophet Ibrahim, bringing glad tidings. Then they greeted by saying, Peace be upon you, Ibrahim. Prophet Ibrahim replied, Peace be upon you. So not long after, he brought them a feast, a roasted calf." Surah Hud, verse 69. And second, so when he saw their hand not touching the dish, he felt strange about them and was afraid of their condition. Seeing his anxiety, they said, "Do not be afraid, Ibrahim. We are actually sent to Lut's people to destroy them." Surah Hud, verse 70. And his wife at that moment stood listening. Then she laughed because she lost her sense of fear. So we gave him good news through the angel that he will have a son, Ishaq, and after Ishaq he will also have a grandson, Yaqub. Surah Hud, verse 71. His wife said, "My situation is truly miraculous. Will I give birth to a child when I am old and my husband is also old?" Indeed, this incident is a surprising thing. Surah Hud, verse 72. The angel said, "Should be surprised about the thing that have been determined by God. Indeed, God's mercy and blessing are abundant for you, for all members of this house. Indeed, God is praiseworthy, and His goodness and generosity are abundant." Surah Hud, verse 73. The story of Sarah is interrupted by the king of Egypt. Firstly, Siti Sirah always followed Prophet Ibrahim wherever he went. One of them was when they both moved to Egypt from Babylon. At the time, the preaching of Prophet Ibrahim was not accepted by the Babylonian people who still worship idols. Prophet Ibrahim and Sarah finally arrived in Baitul Maqdis and stayed in Haran. It was no different from the previous place. The locals also worship idols. At that time, Egypt was led by King Amru bin Amru al-Qais bin Mailun, who was an infidel and liked to waste his wealth in a luxurious manner. He also really likes to find the most beautiful woman in his kingdom. If the woman is married, he will force them to divorce. The beauty of Sarah, who arrived in Egypt with Prophet Ibrahim salam, was certainly a hot topic in the kingdom. Until a guard told Amru about this. Hearing the news about Sarah, the king immediately ordered his guard to immediately call them both. Ibrahim agreed to the call and arrived at the kingdom with Sarah. Arriving in front of King Amru, immediately asked who the woman was like to Ibrahim. Then Prophet Ibrahim salam replied that Sarah is his sister, and suddenly Prophet Ibrahim salam whispered to his wife to confess in such a way to that they will both be safe. From this story, the Prophet Nabi Muhammad SAW said, Ibrahim never lied except 3 times. First, his word when he was invited to worship the idols of their god, and Ibrahim replied, indeed he was sick. Second, the word is the big statue that did it. Third, his word about Sarah, indeed she is my sister. After that, the guard brought Sarah in front of the king. Before that, she prayed that her purity would remain intact. Sarah felt very sad. She was reluctant to part with her husband and was afraid of being touched by the king. When Sarah saw the king approaching her, she prayed, Oh God, I truly believe in you and your messenger, and I always guard my honor. Don't let that person ruin my purity. Then the king felt short and off breath and stamped his feet. Sarah was surprised and prayed again. Oh God, if this king dies, of course people will accuse me of killing him. After praying, he returned to normal health. However, the king still walked toward her. Sarah prayed again. Oh God, I truly believe in you and your messenger, and I always guard my honor. Don't let that person ruin my purity. This happened twice until finally the king got scared and said to his guard, This must be the work of the devil you brought me. Return him to Ibrahim and give him a slave. Sarah is finally free and can go home with Hajar, who is a slave and a beautiful woman gift from the king.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I'm going to talk about Siti Hajar. Siti Hajar, known as Hajar in the Hebrew Bible, birth at Khibti Mather. Her husband is Prophet Ibrahim salam and his child Prophet Ismail salam. Death at Mecca at age of 90. Funeral at Hijr Ismail. Next is Hajar sacrification. First thing is alone in desert. The story of how Ibrahim left Hajar in the desert is well known, but it is emotional every time we hear it. It is truly astonishing what both of them were willing to do for Allah's sake. According to the Tafsir Ibn Kathir, Ibrahim traveled to Makkah, known as today as Mecca, which was the site of the Kaaba. At the time of Prophet ﷺ, Mecca was flourishing. The Quraysh were the custodians of the Kaaba, respected throughout Arabia, and they grew prosperous through the trade of their winter and summer. But when Ibrahim salam brought his wife and son there, Mecca was an empty desert. No one had settled there. Nor was there any water. Which is Ibrahim, made them sit over there, and placed near them a leather bag containing some dates and a small water skin containing some water. And he set out homeward. Ismail's mother followed him, saying, Oh Ibrahim, where are you going? Leaving us in the valley where there is no person whose company we may enjoy, nor is there anything. She repeated that to him many times, but he did not look back at her. Then she asked him, Has Allah ordered you to do? He said, Yes, she said. Then he will not neglect us and return while Ibrahim proceeded onward. Subhanallah, it is impossible to imagine both the strength of Ibrahim salam in walking away and the absolute trust of Hajar. When she realized it was a command from Allah, she did not hesitate for a second in surrendering to his plan. Without any doubt that he would take care of them, she turned and walked back to her spot next to the Kaaba, to a pouch of dates and a few drinks of water, and sat down beside her baby, completely certain that Allah would never abandon her. Next is Hajar running between Safa and Marwa. Ibn Abbas narrated, Ismail's mother went on suckling Ismail and drinking from the water. When the water in the water skin had all been used up, she became thirsty and her child also became thirsty. She started looking at him to see in agony, and she left him. For she could not look at him. She found that the mountain of Safa was the nearest mountain to her on that land. She stood on it and started looking at the valley so that she might see somebody, but she could not see anybody. Then she descended from Safa, and when she reached the valley, she took up her rope and ran in the valley like a person in distress and trouble until she closed the valley and reached the Marwa mountain, where she stood and started looking, expecting to see somebody, but she could not see anybody. Hajar ran between Safa and Marwa 7 times, and each time she searched the desert, expecting to see somebody. Subhanallah, despite being in the of an unsettled and uncultivated desert, she did not lose hope that Allah would send her help. The bond between mother and child is one of the strongest ties Allah has created, and Hajar alayhi salam could not ever bear to look at Ismail when she was thirsty, and we cannot imagine the pain she must have felt. Equally, it is possible to imagine holding on to hope in that situation and firmly believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not neglect them. Next is the miracle of Zamzam. When Hajar salam had run between the mountains 7 times, she heard a voice as she was standing on Marwa. She forced herself to be quiet, and she heard the voice again. She called out, "You have made me hear your voice. Have you got something to help me?" After calling out, she saw an angel at the place where the Zamzam water will not stand. It was Angel Ibrahim, and he was digging at the earth with either his heel or his wing. Hajar was amazed to see water flowing out of the earth. She raced down to the valley and started pushing the earth around the water to make a basin, and then she filled up her water skin with her hand. As she scooped up the water, it continued to flow, so she said "Zoom Zoom," which meant stop, as the was worried the water would run out. Angel Jibril said to her, "Don't be afraid of being neglected, for this is the house of Allah, which will be built by this boy and his father, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never neglects his people." Next is Hadith about Siti Hajar. Al-Bukhari with Sanad record narrated to me by Abdullah bin Muhammad, narrated to us by Abdul Razak, narrated to us by Ma'mar from Ayyub as-Sakhtiyani and Khasib Kasir bin Abdul Muttalib bin Abi Wada'a. Everyone added to each other from Sa'id bin Jubair. Ibn Abbas said, "The first woman who who used a bat, was the mother of Prophet Ismail salam. She used it to remove traces from Sarah. Then Ibrahim took her along with her son Ismail, whose mother was still nursing him until Ibrahim alayhi salam. And Ibrahim alayhi salam placed them both near Baitullah in a hut on the Zamzam at the end of Masjid Haram. At the time, in Mecca, there was no one living there, and there was no water.
Siti Sarah and Siti Hajar radiallahu anhuma. When we hear their name, many of us know their story. After a long explanation by my friends, I see there are few things that we can learn from their story. The first lesson is there is a constant flow of tests from Allah in life. How many times have you been in a situation where you physically opposed or your honor was in danger? Many people don't know how to react, how to find help, and a lot of times they are scared to go seek help. Now, let's see what happened when an incident with Sarah radiallahu anha. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and Sarah go to Egypt and unexpectedly meet with the cruel king. This cruel king will take a beautiful woman. We already know that Sarah had extreme beauty, and the king's eye fell upon her. Now she is taken to the tyrant ruler. She calls upon Allah and she says, "Oh my Allah, I have done everything for you. I believe in you. I also believe in your messenger. Oh Allah, protect me." Immediately, the king, when he come too close to her, his hand become freeze and gets paralyzed. Then this king tries again, but he can't, and start to yell and say, "Oh no, make prayer for me." This situation is repeated 3 times until the king say, "Oh, you are not a normal woman." So there is a lesson from this story that we can learn. When someone tries to make bad for you, we must report it to higher authority. Like Sarah, she reported it to highest authority, Allah. And Allah assisted her at that moment. In the second lesson, the power of dua should never be underestimated. Have you ever felt like your dua has not been answered? Perhaps you have asked and asked night after night in the Ramadan and are still waiting to see the answer? Yes, this part is for you. We will learn how patiently Siti Sarah asked Allah for help. Prophet Ibrahim a.s. and Siti Sarah lived in Palestine for 20 years, but they didn't have a child yet. For many years, Sarah waited for his presence. Her face began to frown, her body started to weaken, her vision blurred, and her dream did not come true yet. While Ibrahim a.s. always prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for good descendants. So, the angel delivered the good news of a baby named Isa alayhi salam. But after him, there will be a starting long line start with Yaqub alayhi salam. Sarah was surprised and overwhelmed when she heard the news. She immediately left the house and shouted, "Huh?" was slapping her face, and then said, "This is really surprising." In short, this lesson we will learn that we must never lose hope and always recite the dua. The third lesson is to seek help and guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hajar was a remarkable woman and a second wife of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. When her husband left her in the desert at the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, she found herself in a very challenging situation. She endured with her young son Ismail alayhi salam. She went after her husband and asked him a question, why he was leaving her there. And she asked him another question, did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instruct you to do this? And the answer was yes. She knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of us. Her son was thirsty with limited food and water. Despite having complete faith with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, she will not remain idle and strove to help herself and her child. She ran back and forth between Safa and Marwa searching for it. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, indeed, Allah will never change a people's state until they change their own state. Hajar, she had faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but she also took action, persevered, and never lost hope. Subhanallah, this illustration that in our life, especially for single mothers who have to worry about parenting, managing house, and so on. And we are told that Hajar alayhi salam does a total 7 times between Safa and Marwa before she hears a voice and she sees Jibril alayhi salam makes a hole in which Zamzam comes from the sand. So, from this lesson is we must not give up on seeking help and guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.